as we send it back to Doug Dunbar and the original wakeboarder, Tony Finn.
The young Parks Bonifay is on the verge of making history. A hug from mom and friends. The 14-year-old is going to battle for gold on the waters of Roger Williams State Park here in Rhode Island. But before he takes to the water, Jeremy Kovac, coming in fourth spot, will do his best.
Jeremy Kovac started out with the backside front flip. Right into a backside fake. He rolled the front. That's his signature trick, the Mobius. Lands it way out in the flats. Jeremy lands that trick cleaner than anybody. Moves straight into the air Mobius. And then a front side front flip. Jeremy starts off the finals in a huge way.
First pass comes to an end for Jeremy Kovac. He'll round it out for another 25 seconds.
Let's take a look at Jeremy's air Mobius on the first pass. Look how he uses that wake for a ramp, launches off it. Now notice the handle pass. Very late right there, but he holds on to it.
Final round action, 4 top competitors. Jeremy Kovac is the first of the 4, 25 seconds on the clock.
Jeremy Kovac is the last Canadian remaining in competition, 22 years old. He's been on the circuit for a long time. He can use this victory. Former world champion. Air Rayleigh right there for Jeremy. Fourth competitor in the final. He needs this trick right here. He's coming into the wake switch stance. First switch stance Mobius. Yes, 3 Mobiuses for Jeremy.
Jeremy will take first spot. Of course, he is the first to be on the water, but Scott Byerly now will try to regroup and get himself back into medal contention.
Scott Byerly, the 1994 world champ, starts off with the front side air Rayleigh.
Johnny.
Byerly invents a lot of his own tricks.
Right now, he needs to invent something because he's got Parks, Dean, and Jeremy to contend with. A half cab roll. Hard carve into the wake. Big front flip for Scott.
Byerly's run so far is solid. It is smooth, but it is likely not going to be in that low 90 range where he needs to be to contend with those of Lavelle and Parks Bonifay.
Let's take a look at Scott's front flip. He flattens the board out as he hits the wake. Look at that board go end over end. Scott very tight. He holds the rope right into his chest, lets it out as he lands. That is a perfect front flip for Scott.
25 seconds away from finding out if Scott Byerly might just walk away with a medal here from the X Games in the wakeboarding event.
Scott has not had a victory for a long time. This will mean a lot to his career if he can pull this off. There's a switch stance scarecrow. Roll to revert for Scott Byerly. He's got a couple Mobiuses right here. He needs to nail them both. He's got the first one, the backside Mobius. It comes down to this right here for Scott Byerly. He turns the board to the faking position, switch stance Mobius. Scott Byerly goes down. It's not going to be enough for Scott.
Scott Byerly will not overtake Jeremy Kovac, who holds first place. 83.27, second place, and of course we still have yet to see Dean Lavelle. And first, Parks Bonifay will take to the water.
Parks needs 93.05 to overtake Jeremy Kovac. Parks Bonifay is doing the same run in the finals as he did in the semifinals. He's confident, he knows he can do these tricks, and he's going to try to do them right now, bigger than he's ever done before.
Kind of makes you wonder about this kid's mental toughness. He was more nervous yesterday from the round of 16 to 10 than he is today moving into the final round.
That was the S-bend, his last trick. He pulled it off, and he pulled it huge. Let's watch the anatomy of an S-bend. Parks leans way back so he can get huge pop off the wake. Starts off with the air Rayleigh. The board does a 360 while it's in the air, and then he lands it. Look how soft Parks lands that trick.
25 seconds away from a possible historical moment here at the X Games. The youngest competitor again at 14 years old. This young man has been wowing them all across the nation. The strength of Parks' first pass was exceptional. He needs to hold it together right here for a few more tricks.
switch stance front flip. Goes into the wake switch stance, does a front flip, lands at switch stance. There's the whirly bird. Parks bobbles on it, but holds on. He's got one more trick. There it is, the switch tantrum to forward. Parks' run is over, and he does a wild card for the crowd, but goes down.
Doesn't really need the wild card points, though. Parks Bonifay will launch himself into first place in his first ever X Games. Will the 14-year-old hang on? An excited Betty Bonifay and his Parks mother. Running a ski school in South Florida certainly helped this young man. The only man who holds the card to Parks Bonifay's future here at the X Games, Dean Lavelle.
If there's anybody that can take Parks down, it's this guy right here, Dean Lavelle. Tremendous on-the-water experience.
That experience helped Dean Lavelle land in the round of 10 in first spot. Also here in the final round, seeded number 1.
Dean's throwing the same tricks as he threw in the semifinals. Here comes the switch stance S-bend. Ooh! Not enough rotation, and Dean goes down hard on the switch stance S-bend. Let's see what happened to Dean here. It's all over for Dean. He looks good coming into it. Off axis right there. The board is too far behind him. His legs are very straight. Tries to bend as he comes down. No rotation, does not twist quite fast enough, and lands hard.
For Dean Lavelle, it is going to be a big question mark. The second pass for 25 seconds and possible silver medal.
Dean looking for a silver right here. He looks like he's dejected. Does not look like the normal Dean. Air front flip right here for Dean Lavelle. Very, very sloppy.
He's not landing him nearly as he normally does.
Dean's clearly dejected and goes down right there on his last trick, which was a switch stance crib.
Lavelle will put a champion smile on his face. He's not happy with it, though. But Lavelle's misfortune will definitely make Bonifay's day. Parks Bonifay in the winner's circle just a few weeks ago. It was the U.S. Open, a grand victory in and of itself, but here you are in the winner's circle again at the X Games.
Yeah, thanks. I just went out there, had fun, did my best. Wanted to stand both passes up. I was going to throw in a new trick, but I just wanted to go consistent and have fun.
Now, in the preliminary round, Dean Lavelle put an incredible amount of pressure. You guys were less than a point away from each other coming into this competition today.
Yeah, he did. He threw in the biggest tricks that anybody can do. I bet he went out there and had fun. I don't know if he put any pressure on himself today. There's no pressure on me. And
You're less nervous today than you were yesterday. There was some tension yesterday for you.
yeah, I worked out the butterflies on my stomach yesterday, so you know, I went out there, I saw what the X Games is all about. It's a nice tournament, great, and today just went out there, had fun.
At 14 years old, you will actually now join Katie Brown. I know you talked about it off the air with us. Katie Brown, of course, the climbing gold medalist. You too really form a new generation here at the X Games with your age.
Yeah, the next generation is what the sport's all about, because once all the guys that invented the sport got the sport going, I mean, they move on, and then the next generation comes along.
Well, guess what? Next generation is here. Scott Byerly, the bronze, Jeremy Kovac, the silver, and as you've witnessed, Parks Bonifay, now the youngest here at the Liquid